action, but there's a little bit of a disconnect sometimes in massive action. So I like to say take consistent action, because action happens daily. Action happens every single day. And that's a disconnect that people see when they're trying to think of like a New Year's resolution, right? When you make a New Year's resolution in January and you're thinking about December, 12 months later is a long time. And most people give up somewhere along the way because there's a huge disconnect. And I think that's where that is instead of like this massive goal that you're trying to reach, break it down into little goals and take that daily action. And I like to help just encourage people. Okay, but what people can tell you they're big goals easily, but okay, what is it going to take? Break that down into like, what can you be doing today? Do something every single day that's going to move the needle to get you to that goal.
Welcome to the How to Scale Commercial Real Estate Show. Whether you are an active or passive investor, we'll teach you how to scale your real estate investing business into something big.
Dawn Keller is a multifamily investor in over 600 doors. She's now a general partner as well in over 300 doors. Dawn, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Sam. It's an honor to be here.
The pleasure is mine. Dawn, there are 3 questions I ask every guest who comes on the show. In 90 seconds or less, can you tell me, where did you start, where are you now, and how did you get there?
Am I penalized if I go over the 90 seconds? That could be.
Yes.
No, it's a great question. I love sharing my background, so I appreciate that. Really just growing up, I didn't come from much, and I was taught just to get a good job and work hard and save my money. And that's exactly what I did. And put all my money in a 401k, and that's not working out for me really well. And, now I always thought there's got to be a better way to do this than just save, save, save. And my parents are now in their 70s and both still working. Hate that for them. And I don't want that for them. And I don't want that for myself. And the more people that I talk with, I realize this is a reality for a lot of people, is that saving their money and just putting your head down and working hard, it's just not enough. And that's what really got me looking into real estate investing. I did a single family flip. First, I was watching probably too much HGTV and did a single family flip. Immediately, I knew that was not the answer because I was looking for something that I could scale. And while that was profitable, I'm like, how am I going to scale this and really grow my money exponentially? So I did a lot of research on a lot of different asset classes and eventually came across multifamily investing. And it really just checked all the boxes for me. It had the scalability that I was looking for, the appreciation, the real estate appreciation, the growth, cash flow, tax benefits that you don't get in other asset classes. And that's kind of how I started. I started investing passively and then eventually joined a team, as an established general partner team. And now I'm a general partner.
That is awesome. You hit on, the theme of the show is scalability. How to scale commercial real estate is the name of the show. And so you hit on that. You found something that you can scale. And I think that's so important. It's so oftentimes people overlook that component. They're like, oh, cool, I want to invest in real estate. Well, yeah, but can you grow it? Is there unlimited?
Exactly.
Is there unlimited potential in this, or is it that like you mentioned, I know the pain of doing single family flips. I monkeyed around with that for 5 years. I think I did 60 some odd flips, and at the end of it, I'm like,
oh wow,
like I can't do this. Like every project is too different. Every project is it's just too many moving pieces. Like there was no effective way, and there probably is, but not for me.
exactly. Yeah.
That's really cool. Tell me about the passive investor journey. What was that like, making your first passive investment?
Yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking, of course, when you're going that big,
Right.
but I was so excited just to get involved. And the people that I've met in this space, in the multifamily investing space, have made it so much easier. There are some phenomenal people in this space that one of the reasons I was attracted to this area is that I've met people that they're just genuine people. They're just normal, down to earth people that are willing to help. And that really made me feel comfortable knowing that I was in the right place. And so that made it easy for me. So my first investment, I remember going to the bank and wiring the money, and I was like, here we go. So that was fun. And then it was a normal transition from there to, I knew my goal was to be a general partner, and passive investing was kind of the first step. And I talk with a lot of people that really just want to put their money to work, right? And so some of my investors, my personal investors, they don't have the time. They have full-time jobs. They don't have the time or the resources or the energy to put into full-time, like becoming a general partner, which takes a lot of time and effort. But they want to put their money to work, and this is a perfect investment opportunity for them because you can get really good returns, and they understand and value the investing in real estate, in a tangible asset that appreciates. And this is a great way for them to get involved. And that's exactly what I saw for myself. It's exactly what I was looking for, is putting my money in something that's like, I'm part owner of these properties. And that's pretty cool. I invest mostly in DFW, and all my investors, a lot of my investors are local here in Dallas. And I think they appreciate that too. When I tell them like about a new opportunity, that we've got this property that's right by the Galleria, next to a $4 billion development, that excites them, and like, cool, like I can be part owner of that. And there's really something to that that's very real, and in a tangible, investing in a tangible asset.
What were some of the things early on, if you can go back to, I don't know how far back this is, but what were some of the things early on that were kind of surprises, I guess, along the way? Things you're like, oh, that's the way that works. That's interesting.
Sure. It can be a very competitive space for sure. There's a lot of, multifamily is really getting on the map. And when I made the transition my goal was to be a general partner. And from the time that we started making offers on properties, me and my team, my partners, it took a while. It took almost a year. It took about 10 months from the time we first started making offers on properties to getting that first deal under contract, was about 10 months. And when you're first getting into this, it's so exciting. You want it to happen so fast, right? You're just like, oh my gosh, like I can't wait. And it's time consuming. In the meantime, you're probably working a full-time job and you're putting a lot of time and effort into this. I think we got in best and final on 4 or 5 deals. And then to put all that time and effort into it, and then to not get the deal, it feels like you're starting from scratch. You're not. You're so much closer to actually getting your first deal as a general partner, but it feels like it. It feels like you put in so much time into that market research and comp research, and it's a little deflating, right? To put into that much work, and then to be like, now you feel like you're starting over on a new property. But it really, you're learning so much along the way and making so much progress, more than you realize. And that's one thing that I learned, that was hard. There was a couple of times that I felt really defeating, but just pushing through and not giving up, that was huge.
Man, that's well said. And I think that's something, because you hear these overnight success stories, and I always wondered who they were. Like, you get on a podcast or you listen to something else, and they're like, man, last year I was broke living in a ditch, and this year I own 10,000 units. And you're like, what? Like, there's that one in a million chance that happens to somebody. But
It can happen. That wasn't my journey. I think that's something I learned too. That's a good point, because everybody's journey is different.
Right.
And, so I think I like help encouraging other people that, hey, don't compare yourself to everyone around you, because everybody's journey is different, and there's enough success to go around. I believe I have an abundance mentality of, there's enough good deals, enough success for everyone. And you can always just help each other, encourage each other, and helping other people meet their goals. And, but just don't compare. That was one thing I definitely, I saw the same thing. I'm like, wait a second, you're now in 5 deals, and, don't compare. But, everybody's journey is different, and you don't know their situation. You don't know what kind of background they came from or what help that they had along the way. So, just don't compare. I fell into that a couple times.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Because it's so easy, because you're like, dang, like, they just like took off like a rocket ship, and here I am standing here trying to get my first deal done. I think what you've set though is an expectation. And so I think about, the, adventure trips and stuff like that, when there's a hard day ahead of you, and it's like, you set the expectation with the group, like, hey, by the way, this is going to suck because it's a long haul. So just prepare yourself mentally for this, that, hey, you know what? You're going to work really hard for about 10 months, and you're going to get no said to you a lot.
Yes. I think you hit it on the head, because I think that maybe is kind of first getting into it. I remember thinking like it sounds so easy, right?
Right.
You just do this, this, and this, and some people gloss over how much work you put into it. So it is a lot of work, and it is a lot of time, but the formula really truly works. And so that's, anyone who is wanting to get into to be a general partner, even limited partner. I mean, the format really, really does work. It's just following that plan.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's like working out and eating right. It's like you do these two
Yeah.
things and you just stick with the plan. Yeah. Everybody's body type might respond differently, but if you follow those two guiding principles, you will lose weight and you will get in better shape. Like it's just
Exactly.
follow the plan.
Exactly.
Tell me this about talking about your general partnership team. How did you form it? What was that kind of evolution like?
Yeah, great question. I think that was a hang up of mine early on, is I wanted to just like tell everybody that I know that I'm now into multifamily investing. And but I was kind of hung up on they're like, well, Dawn, you don't know the first thing about multifamily investing. This is early on. And so I did want to identify some partners that I can kind of leverage their experience, right? And that's why, I chose this team because of their experience and their success, their track record. And so I met them through, I joined a mentorship program. I'm a huge believer in education, and we can talk more about that, of just of education and how important that is, of really just learning. Multifamily investing is no different than any other profession, right? If you want to become a physician, you can read lots of books in multifamily investing. There's tons of education and podcasts and books that you can read, but that doesn't make you a multifamily investor, right? And same thing if you want to be a doctor. I can read the exact same medical books that they're reading in medical school, but that doesn't make me a doctor. And you pay a lot of money to get the education and the experience of becoming a physician. And the same thing in multifamily. So I was a big believer in joining a mentorship program, and that hands down, that was a huge factor in my success in getting my first deal. It was 91 units, a $10 million property. And that's where I met my partners. I didn't know anything about multifamily. I didn't know my partners at the time. I met them through networking and just meeting people and just being genuine about you. I think this is one thing I probably could have done better too, is I was really good at networking. I was really good at meeting people, but I think early on I wasn't really crystallizing and communicating what I am good at and what value that I can bring to a partnership team. And how can I help you? And if I could do something over again, I think that would be it, is kind of really communicating that. And what can I do for you to help you? Here's what I'm willing to do. And communicating that, crystallizing that. And I think you'll get so much further faster when you can kind of crystallize that.
Yeah,
Taking inventory, right? Like taking inventory of what you're good at and communicating that.
that's a great point. I love that point. And if you're listening to this and wondering, like, just as Dawn suggested, how do I get cranking, or how to get started in this? It is figure out what you're good at. What skills can you bring to the team? I had lunch with someone here maybe a month ago now, and it was a really valuable question he asked me. He said, "What can I take off of your plate that you don't want to do, don't have time to do?" He said, "Just so I can get in the same room with you and learn from you. What can I do? Like, here's what
I
he's done in
love
the past."
that.
And he gave me his list of what he's been doing. He was like, what is also something I can help you out or help you with? And I'm like, great question. Like, now you're bringing value to me. What am I good at that I can then bring value to the people around me? I think that's really, really important. What did you settle on?
Love that.
Once you crystallized that, what does that look like for you now?
Yeah. So time was a big thing for me, since I didn't have the experience, and I'm approaching general partners that have tons of experience, and I was willing to put in the time. I was willing to roll up my sleeves and put in the time. And I also looked for partners too that don't live in my area. DFW is a great place to invest right now. And so I kind of had that advantage to other investors that don't live here locally,
Yeah.
that I know the area really well. I've been in this area for 35 years and have that advantage. I know this area like the back of my hand. And And then just, I think it was just putting myself out there as well. Don't be afraid to kind of take those risks. Yeah, I got a few no's, but I would straight out ask. Once I was able to crystallize, here is what I'm good at and what I can do. I did have a pretty good network of where I could raise capital. That's huge.
Mhm.
And I crystallized that and the time and what, my background I have a background in sales and project management, how that can translate into this business. And once I started vocalizing that and just asking the question, hey, if I were to do this and I found a deal that would you be willing to take a look at it and perhaps partner together? And yeah, I got some no's, I got some maybes, but eventually I got a yes. But my very first connection, my very first partner, we connected on a personal level. At first, it wasn't even about working together. It was really just a genuine relationship that we just connected on a personal level. And then we kind of just started having these weekly or biweekly calls just to like, hey, we're looking at the same kind of stuff. Let's look at them together and see if we can, how can we can look at this from different angles. So it really just kind of, it evolved from there, and then eventually added some other partners to our team once we kind of were getting some traction and had some potential deals, some really good deals.
That's really cool. Again, going back to the just be prepared for no, be prepared for
Yeah.
difficulty in getting it started. And I think that'll really bode well for you, because it is kind of discouraging. Come with a deal like, hey, you want to take a look at this? No, not really. Like,
Yep.
all right,
Yep. That
great.
happens.
So, hey,
Yep.
I'm the newbie out here hustling, trying to find deals, and I just keep getting told no. What am I doing wrong? Just keep
Yeah.
moving. That's the key there. Tell me about this. You host a meetup.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what inspired it? What's it about? And what value does it bring to the people who come? And what value does it bring to your business?
Oh, I love that. Thanks for asking that. Yes, I host a local meetup in Dallas, and it really is geared towards new investors that, well, they may not necessarily be new. A lot of them honestly come from single family. I find that very interesting that they have a good track record in single family, but it's exactly what we talked about earlier. They're looking for that scalability. They've realized like, oh my gosh, this is a process and I'm not getting the traction that I'm looking for. And so their interest is in multifamily and how they can scale. So it's either geared towards very new investors that have never invested or that are looking to make a transition to scale larger to really grow their business. And we do different topics, every time. Definitely keep an eye on like what the market is doing right now. We've seen a pretty crazy market this year. It's been a roller coaster. And so I just try to share, what I'm experiencing, what I'm learning, and help each and every one of them in their goals. Everybody's journey is different. Everybody's goals are different. And once we do a meetup and, it's just kind of getting the word out there of how can you start your own business in multifamily and scale your business. That's the basic premise of it, is really how to scale. But then I like doing one-on-one calls from those that are really interested in kind of developing a strategy. And it's kind of like what you and I are talking about today, is talk me through some steps of really like, how do you, it's sometimes it's difficult to get from point A to point B. And a lot of people talk about massive action, and I think that's great. And I love massive, it takes massive action, but there's a little bit of a disconnect sometimes in massive action. So I like to say take consistent action, because action happens daily. Action happens every single day. And that's a disconnect that people see when they're trying to think of like a New Year's resolution, right? When you make a New Year's resolution in January and you're thinking about December, 12 months later is a long time. And most people give up somewhere along the way because there's a huge disconnect. And I think that's where that is instead of like this massive goal that you're trying to reach, break it down into little goals and take that daily action. And I like to help just encourage people. Okay, but what they're like, people can tell you their big goals easily, but okay, what is it going to take? Break that down into like, what can you be doing today? Do something every single day that's going to move the needle to get you to that goal.
Love that. I absolutely love it. Cool. And the last part of that question I was asking was what it sounded like you kind of answered the question in a roundabout way of what it does for people who come. What does that do for you and your business?
Oh, for me, yes, you're right. I kind of got off track there.
It's all
For
good.
me and my business, that I think it's a little bit of everything. It helps me kind of just grow my exposure too, and again, I'm all about like paying it forward. There's been so many people that have helped me in this business, and if I can pay that forward and help others in their business, I just believe that that's going to come back tenfold. I really do. And I've gotten investors out of that have invested with me personally from those meetup groups, but that's not my primary goal. But I do believe that the more people that you know in this space and the more people that you can help, man, you just never know that people that you meet, you'd be surprised how many people that I've met that we know people in common, that have put me in touch with other people. And it kind of just snowballs from there. So I think the more you can immerse yourself in the space that you want to be in, and the more that you can learn, and sometimes people teach me things at these meetups that I didn't know. So it helps me grow personally and in my business.
That's awesome. Dawn, thank you for taking the time to come on the show today. This has been a blast learning all about your journey from passive investor to general partner, how you formed your general partnership team, the challenges you faced along the way, some things maybe that you would do differently. You've shared with us a lot of wisdom and insight, and I certainly appreciate that. If our listeners want to get in touch with you or learn more about you, what is the best way to do that?
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Sam. You can visit me I'll give you my email and my web. I actually also have a free gift for your listeners. It's on my website. It is crownmultifamily.com. And there is a link on there. If you'll click, it says 10 free tips of how to make your money work for you. And so if you just click on that link, and then I will send that to you. You can also email me at dkellerinvestments@gmail.com. And you can email me and ask me for that same free gift. I'll send it to you. But yeah, would love to connect with anyone who kind of just needs some guidance or some help. Any insight that I can provide, I'd love to do that.
Awesome. Dawn, thank you again for your time today. Certainly appreciate it.
Thank you, Sam, so much. My pleasure.
Welcome to the How to Scale Commercial Real Estate Show. Whether you are an active or passive investor, we'll teach you how to scale your real estate investing business into something big.